What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Gobbler Effect, Season 2, Episode 19 here, sponsored by the Beach House Bar and Grill on the Virginia Tech Hockey Network. My name is Chris Beers. Happy to be back with you for another episode, joined once again by head coach of the Hokies, Joey Mullen, as well as special guest, freshman defenseman Bryan Rice joins the show. As always, gentlemen, how are we both doing today?
So
Doing
good.
well.
Well, as always, we kind of have to start backtracking to this past weekend. One day removed from the ACCHL championship game against Penn State. But before we get to that game specifically, let's go to Friday when when we traveled down to Winston-Salem to take on the Rider Bronx. Coach, I'm going to ask you first on your overall takes, of that game, or if you want to go the whole entire weekend, you can. But we're going to try to stay on this topic as long as possible. So. I mean, however you want to start, floor is yours.
I mean, Friday was one of those typical Friday playoff games. People ask me all the time if I get nervous for games. I don't really get nervous anymore. As more of we got probably into that third period and hit the 40 shot mark and only had one goal, and I was like, this is potentially one of those type of games where the opposing goalie can steal the game just because like early in the tournament, like your legs aren't quite under you yet, you're not fully engaged, so Captain America for us, Doozy came up big in the last like 15 minutes of that game and netted two goals and got us through that one.
Was there any worry at all that you had this in the bag? You guys came in as the obvious favorites. You beat Ryder twice pr already this season. Did you have some kind of like well, I know you guys had confidence coming into the game that you knew you could beat this team, but down one, late in the third, were you starting to get a little anxious or worried at all that they might be able to upset you with the outstanding goaltender play?
I mean, I think that it's just natural that creeps into the back of your mind. Like, is this going to happen again? Like, have a great season and just lay an egg in the playoffs. We hit the post a few times. Like Tucker had to make some big saves for us in his first playoff game. Maybe we made it a little hard on ourselves, trying to be a little too cute at times and not just be a playoff team and gritty and score some dirty goals. But I mean, it all worked out, I guess. We got through it.
Yeah. Brian, I'm gonna go to you now. I mean, that was your first ever playoff game in the league. What was that experience like, going through warm-ups and then eventually hitting the ice and getting some reps for the first time?
I mean, everybody was saying that like anybody can beat anybody, and I think we could really see that, especially in that game. Like, we were pretty on the ropes there. We fought back pretty hard, which I thought was really, really good. But I mean, preparation for that really wasn't any different than any other game, really. Kind of just did everything the same way. Been on a roll lately, so I mean, just did everything the same way, and everything stayed the same on that part at least.
Well, you guys got the victory over Ryder on Friday night, which led to a rematch round four with the NC State Ice Pack on Saturday. I know you guys are already smiling about it. We'll get into that right now. I mean, obviously going into the game, Brian, I'm going to start with you. That whole day leading up, it was a 6 o'clock game. You had basically 24 hours, a little more to, get yourself mentally prepared. What was that preparation process like, after the Ryder game into puck drop of the NC State game?
I think the Ryder game, not necessarily like a wake up call, but it kind of, shook into us that like we really gotta be on our game pretty much the entire 60 minutes and everything. And I think that's how we played on Saturday. And I mean, we were all hanging out together. I mean, we were hanging out with you obviously as well. And it was kind of just we were just chill. That's kind of how we've been all year. Just been kind of just chill till gets the game time and game time hit and we were all ready to get focused and we were locked in just on this game and that was it.
Coach, this is not your guy. That was your guys' fourth time playing them. Obviously, facing them three times before. You never beat them in regulation. Coming into it, I think it's been almost 10 years since you last beat the Ice Pack in regulation giver. So, I mean, heading into that game, how confident were you, in your squad and beating them in regulation and not, having to get into those, moments where, we don't want this game to go to overtime or, we don't want this game to get away from us.
I mean, I knew they'd be ready. We had talked about it probably for the last 2 weeks that if everything went the way we thought it might, that we were going to get them on day two. Like, I mean, just how it played out at the end of the regular season. We knew the matchup was coming. You're going to either see them on day two or day three. Like, so I think we were mentally prepared to have to go through them. So they were definitely ready. We had a great start. I mean, if Tulo puts that thing in on the first shift, like that's crazy momentum. I mean, it's a great first shift for our guys. So after that, you knew we'd be dialed in and ready to go. I mean, we played a good game. We learned from the last game we played where they kind of took it to us a little bit and tried to take away what they had success on. And we were definitely good in special teams that game. I think we were 2 for 3 on the power play and held them off the score sheet on the penalty kill. So when you can win that battle in a game, like you're gonna be successful.
Yeah, I mean, and going off of that, like the offense you said and how you changed some stuff up, changed the forward lines a bit. Do you plan on, sticking with that one line or, how successful was that in changing the lines, throughout the game?
I mean, we did it Sunday too. Like you get in certain points in the game, if you see a guy that's not quite as engaged as you want him or think he should be, like you move him. And I thought when we switched Ewan and Garlock Saturday night, like it kind of woke up both of them a little bit. I thought Garlock was really good the last half of the NC State game, and I mean the real two. I mean Cam was unreal that game. Like he just basically put us on his back. He had 4 points. He was involved in every goal. So they were
And
just special that night.
yeah. And kind of going off from the offense, then you go back to the defensive side and the goal netminder. You got Ian Key who played a fantastic game in net. And then you got the wonderful defensive play. You got Loggis who came back this weekend, McAfee, Rice, Sullivan, those guys stepping up like they have all season long. I'm gonna ask this for both of you. I mean, how important is it to have such a reliable defense, especially in these kind of games where you have to win them?
I mean, we got 9 or 10 guys who can play back there whenever we want. Like that's been the nice thing this year. Like a lot of guys have played in a lot of different games, so they're a lot of interchangeable parts. Like Teo was hurt for a long time. We didn't miss a beat. TK's been in and out. Drew's been in and out. Barrett's been in and out. Rice wasn't an every game player to start the season and worked his way into it. And I mean, it's been nice back there. Like it's easy.
I think the other thing is, especially with us being so connected, I think us as a decor are just so connected together. Like, there's no real like arguments or anything. We all just sort of just like pick each other up and everything. And I think that also takes some of the stress off the goalie as well, because we've just been, I feel like, just so connected together when it comes to breaking the puck out or staying with our guy or something like that, to where we know where each other are at all times on the ice without even having to look or anything like that.
Well, let's kind of now shift now to Sunday. And you guys had that 6 o'clock game. Penn State had the 9 o'clock game. And you face each other at the 1 o'clock game the next day. What was the message to the team, Saturday night, in preparation for Sunday, big game. You got most likely a really good matchup with Penn State or North Carolina if they won. But what was the message to the guys, make them keep them active and, get ready for the next game?
I mean, anytime short turnaround, you want to get food in, you want to get liquids in, and get as much rest as possible. I mean, 3 hours isn't really a huge difference. So pretty much the same amount of rest. I mean, if you can't get up for a championship game in your playoffs, then like you're in the wrong team, I guess.
Well, you guys did play Penn State on Sunday at Winston-Salem for the ACCHL championship. Let's kind of go deep dive into that game, kind of picked out some parts. Now, it was the first period, it was, I believe, 1-1 at the end of one. What was your takeaway, from that first period, seeing how each team skated? Bryan, how, Penn State's offense, how fast they were controlling the puck majority of that period. What did you guys see and how did you guys plan to adjust to that in the second and third periods?
Um, I feel like we were a bit rushed in the first period. I felt like, they were on us a little bit quicker. I feel like, so we kind of make plays a little bit quicker. But it wasn't too much of a difference from really any team we've played. We kind of just, I felt I feel like I don't know if it was nerves or anything, but we had a lot more time than I thought we did, and we were kind of just tossing pucks around at the beginning of that period. And then once it was that first like TV timeout, we just came out and we were all just calm and settled, and we started to get into everything. We got into our groove. I think that's when we scored our first goal. But I mean, they were quick and they moved the puck really well, and I think that's uh we were doing well on holding them and everything in the corners and stuff. We were winning the those board battles and everything. And I feel like, it was just once we settled down, we kind of could control the game a little bit more than to where it was in the first part of that period.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I thought that that game kind of had like waves of momentum. I thought like the first 6 or 7 minutes, they pretty much took it to us, and we kind of survived. Like Brian said, we got to that timeout and kind of regrouped, and I thought we brought it to them for majority of the rest of the period. Gave up a weird goal late in the period. Tucker thought he had it. It was behind the net. It's one of those freak plays that kind of happen sometimes. I mean, they're a good team. Like, don't take anything. Like, they got four lines that they just don't stop. And I thought, let's say my synopsis of the whole game is I thought we spent a lot of emotion Saturday in winning that game, and I thought we were not as up as we could have been probably for Sunday. I think that takes a lot out of you beating that team, fourth time playing them, big emotional game. Like I just thought that was might have been our biggest downfall was just too much emotion in that second game Saturday.
I mean, was there any, looking back on that game against Penn State, was there anything that you think that you could have done better, in, whether it be coaching style, playing style, setting things up, matching the lines? Do you think there was a chance that you guys maybe had a shot at, getting back into the game and winning, later on?
I mean, if you look at, I think I talked. It's funny. I talked to Dave about this today. I think my biggest mistake in that game is the second period. I should have ran more of a trap style and kind of frustrate them. And instead of trying to just kind of match speed and match run and gun with them, I thought we should have neutral zone trapped them, laid back a little bit, frustrate them a little bit, and then take it to them in the third again. The second period is the hardest period. It's the longest change. They move the puck well. They stretch the ice well. So that kind of gave us some trouble. But if you look in the third, we make it 3-2. Cam sets Doozy up in front of the net through like kind of a blind pass. It hits off the end of his stick and goes wide. I mean, if that goes in, that changes the whole game. Still at 3-2. Kevin's walking the blue line, catches an edge and falls. Does the right thing by trying to play the puck just down into the corner, hits their guy, and he hits a kid for a breakaway. Like it was one of those things like a lot of breaks didn't go our way, and they're just a hard-working, gritty team, and they manufactured a lot of their chances. And when we made a mistake, they made us pay for it. And I thought that was the biggest difference in the game.
Does this kind of give you guys like any juice, into, you guys are going to be in regionals in 2 weeks. What kind of juice does this give, you guys heading into those games that are going to be really crucial and potentially on the season on the line?
I mean, we kind of talked about this after the first Wilmington game a month ago that learn from this, and we kind of went on a little bit of a run going in there. Like we played two really solid games against State. Hammer JMU played two solid games the first two games of the play. I thought we played a good game against Penn State. It just didn't go our way. Like I was proud of the effort, proud of the intensity, proud of the work ethic. Like it wasn't anything that we did bad. It's just they were a little better that day. So I think they'll definitely that one stung. So we know we got to show up in Indiana in 2 weeks and win two games, and then we got a shot at a big trophy.
Yeah, Brian, kind of going, same question to you. It's your first time, in these playoffs. You lose in the championship game. What kind of, feeling does this mean to you? Does it, get you more amped up for, the next game?
I mean, it for sure stings. Like that's kind of a given when you lose in a championship game like that. But I think kind of like what Coach said, like that first Wilmington game, I feel like that kind of lit a fire under us. Like that we got to like bear down in every game we play, no matter what. And I think this one might be, another one that just gives us that kind of extra boost going into these pretty much the most important. It is the most important part of the year. And I think you know, there's not really much else we can do besides just play our game and everything. And I feel like this is kind of just extra motivation that we want to get the bigger trophy compared to the ACC one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no more tomorrows. It's it's lose or go home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Obviously, the first year at the team, in being introduced into this new culture, this locker room, what makes this team special from, all the teams that you played on in the past?
I feel like this team's so connected. Like we do everything together. Like there's something that I don't do and one of the guys aren't there or a few of them aren't there. And I feel like I've really never been on a team that's been so connected. And I feel like that just helps on the ice as well because, we can be, brave enough, so to say, to go up to each other and, constructive criticism or something like that, pick each other up and not have to worry about anything because we know everybody's got our backs and everything. And it's just, we're all just so connected on and off the ice.
Yeah, I mean, one of you're second on the team, rookie freshman and defenseman in points behind J.H. Lagas, who was the defensive player of the year in the ACCHL. You also had Doozy, who was also the ACCHL player of the year. How, this is for both of you, how have those two players, impacted this team, either in, leadership or, mentoring or doing just being a presence in the locker room and on the ice?
You can go first.
I think, Doozy's just like always there for you, no matter what it is, like in a leadership role in that aspect. And I think not only is he just like a natural born leader, is he leads by example. And I think that just kind of helps everybody along with it because, if he's going out and doing something, people will follow because they see that he's doing it. So I have to do it as well. And then with JH, I mean, obviously he's a freshman, but he's old. So, um, but I mean, he's just been, a great guy on the D side of it to, ask pointers or, stuff like that. And he's also just came in here and kind of just been a leader since day one, like picking everybody up and again, leading by example when it comes to the D side of it compared to the forward side with Gavin. So it's been really nice having those two, especially.
Yeah, I mean it's fun to watch. Like when you see JH and Kevin and I mean it's honestly it's everybody. Doozy can't none of these guys would shy away from blocking shots. None of these guys shy away from taking a hit, giving a hit. So that stuff is kind of contagious when you see like the top roster guys doing that stuff. The big time role players on our team are more willing to do even more of that stuff because like if they're not willing to do it, then no one's going to go with them. Like it's hard for you to ask somebody to block some shots when you're not willing to do it yourself. So that's the biggest thing. And like I don't spend too much time with these guys away from the ice, but every time I talk to them, they're always together. Like, oh no, we're all over here, we're all over there. So this team reminds me a lot of the team that we took to nationals 14 years ago. Just the closeness of them off the ice, and that does go a long way. So hopefully we get a good couple weeks of practice here. Miss some snow tomorrow, maybe we'll see. And get ready for Indiana. It's gonna be a fun trip for everybody. None of these guys have ever made it. They've been close like three times, and something crazy's happened, and we didn't get in. So I'm glad that this senior class has finally broken back through and gotten us back there.
Yeah, well, that was about to be what I was talking about next. I know we'll get more into regionals and the matchups and what to expect next episode, but kind of in that preparation mindset for what's going to happen. And of course, you'll have the reveal tomorrow night. Let's see who will play. But just going into that, this week of practice. I know we don't have practice tonight, but in this week of preparation before the big week next week. What needs to be worked on, with these guys?
The big thing for this week is to get healed up a little bit. A couple of guys are a little banged up. I mean, 3 games in 3 days, and they're like tough games. Like you're going to get banged up. So a good time to have a week in between games. And it used to be like playoffs, and then the next week, and you're going to regionals. And we kind of restructured that a few years ago to make sure we had an off week so guys could be healthy and we weren't rushing to get into places like that. So structure, or I guess game wise, we need to work on a little bit of our structure and through the neutral zone. I thought that kind of hurt us Sunday. Um, Other than that, like the power play was pretty good all weekend. The penalty kill was great. I don't think we gave up a power play goal. I think we were really good there. So not a whole lot to fix. I mean, you can't really fix a ton of stuff at this point in the season. Like you kind of are who you are. Um, Kind of a different spot for us going into regionals because the whole bye system now, and I think we're in a pretty good spot to get the first day bye. So we won't really know who we play until Friday night. So have to kind of prep for a lot of teams. Colin's been really good at that. He's good with videos. So as soon as we find out tomorrow, it'll basically be me and him figuring out. He'll watch a few different teams in prep for him. I'll watch a few teams in prep for him, and then whoever drew the right team, we'll get it put in play for the night before, I guess.
Well, final question of the show. So we'll go for Bryan since, Coach, you answered the last one about regionals. This is obviously your first time regionals, but you played nationals, I believe, with Team Maryland back in high school. Now, obviously, a different level. What, has to be the feeling that you're, going through right now? Is it a little bit of anxious day by day, when you guys travel to Indiana? How will that feeling, affect your play, being on it, you've been on a stage like this before, now kind of being more experienced in this. What is going to be, going through your mind as you get ready for these big games coming up?
I think for me, it's excitement. Like, there's no better hockey than really playoff hockey at all. I mean, everyone's throwing their best out. Everybody knows it's winning, you go home. And I think like everybody wants to win, and that's the biggest thing is I feel like at this point in the year, it's who wants it more. And I feel like everybody's going to be pretty much even skill wise, and the depth's going to be the same. And I think it's just going to be who wants it more and who's going to capitalize on the mistakes. And I think, going back to when I was at nationals, that's how it was. It was, the good teams will make you pay for mistakes you'll make. And like going back to Sunday, I mean, that's what happened. I mean, two mistakes and they're in the back of our net. But I think for us is we have to capitalize on those mistakes as well, because those are the ones you have to put in the back of the net in order to get that momentum going. And it's all about momentum when it comes to this points, because if you don't have it on your side, it's going to be coming straight back at you. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that's going to go on when it comes to down the road here.
Well, that'll do it for episode number 19 of the Gobbler Effect, sponsored by the Beach House Bar and Grill here on the Virginia Tech Hockey Network. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe on the channel here, as well as click the notification bell for live streaming content updates this season. Bryan, Coach Mullen, thank you once again for joining us. Playoff season is in full swing as the Hokies will take a bye week before heading to regionals in Evansville, Indiana next weekend. Until next time, guys, go Hokies.